Hey, good evening, everyone. This is State Representative Brad Halbrook with the Illinois Freedom Caucus Town Hall and Roundtable. And Dan Calkins, thanks for dropping in.
Hey,
Welcome, Dan. It looks like it's just you and I and our special guest this evening. Spring break or the Easter break is about over, and we go back to Springfield tomorrow. What's going on?
well, we're looking forward to, I guess, kind of looking forward to getting back. It's been a good 2 weeks. We've had a bunch of stuff going on in the district, working on a couple of issues. I've got still getting FOID card stuff. Of course, the lawsuit is going on with Second Amendment deal, and got another big issue up in McLean County on property taxes. So even though we've had a couple of weeks off, Brad, it's never a dull moment.
Exactly. Well, and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight with 2 or 3 really, really important issues and events going on. And so, Dan, we're always in a relentless pursuit of truth, logic, and common sense. And our 2 guests tonight are going to help us with that in their respective areas. And so, Dan, unless you've got anything else here, let's get this kicked off. I'm going to bring on Molly Rumley with Illinois Right to Life. Welcome, Molly.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So, Molly, you've got a bill that you're concerned about, and then you've got a rally in Springfield coming up right away. Dan, why don't we just give Molly the floor and let her have at it?
Hey, good to see you, Molly. Welcome to our Tuesday Night Live, and we're just really pleased that you were able to make time to come on with us this evening. So, what's going on in your world?
All right. Well, again, thanks so much for having me. And so Senate Bill 1909 was introduced at the beginning of this year. And what it does is it unfairly targets pregnancy resource centers or pregnancy help centers. Some people might know them as crisis pregnancy centers. And these are hubs of pro-life activity throughout our state. They do not offer abortion, and that is why the abortion industry is targeting them. And these are awesome little groups of, like I said, pro-life activity. They offer free ultrasounds, free counseling before an abortion, but also if a woman does decide to have an abortion, they're still there to offer counseling under those circumstances. They offer free pregnancy tests, diapers, wipes, parenting classes, strollers, you name it, they offer it to women at absolutely no cost and independent of any taxpayer dollar. So again, these are awesome centers. They do a lot of good work, and they offer vital resources to women who do not or would not want an abortion if they knew that they had the support and resources that they need. So in Illinois, we have virtually no laws regulating abortion at all. And so Planned Parenthood and the abortion lobby recognizes that these centers are cutting into their bottom line. And so they want to stop the hemorrhage by unfairly targeting them. And what this bill does is it requires, or I shouldn't say it requires, it allows the Attorney General to investigate if they are engaging in what they call deceptive practices or fraudulent practices, or withholding what they're calling material facts. And all of that is undefined in the statute or in the law, in the bill. Hopefully it doesn't become law. And it would hold them civilly liable for up to a $50,000 fine. The Attorney General could impound their records, and eventually, while an investigation is ongoing, and in which case it would force many pregnancy centers to close. And like I said, they're targeting these centers. So this is a really bad bill that will ultimately hurt women and children in our state. And so it is good to know that it is a very unconstitutional bill. It's extremely vague. Virtually nothing is defined in the bill. And on top of that, it unconstitutionally cools speech and tells pregnancy centers and sidewalk counselors what they can and can't say to women. And so this bill has passed out of the Senate committee and out of the Senate floor onto the House floor. And so we are looking at a committee hearing in the next few weeks, and then it'll go to the House floor for a vote. So what we have coming up next Wednesday at noon is a rally to tell our legislators that we do not support attacking our pregnancy resource centers, these awesome hubs of pro-life activity. We support them and what they do, and this is completely unfair for them to target them. So the rally is, like I said, at 1 o'clock or at noon at the Lincoln statue. So if you came down for the March for Life a few weeks ago, it's in the same exact location. Mary Kate Zander, who is the executive director of Illinois Right to Life and Illinois Right to Life Action, will be speaking, as well as Eric Scheidler with the Pro-Life Action League. And then there are several other pro-life leaders who are we are planning on speaking as well. And so after that, we're hoping that we're encouraging everyone who attends the rally to go inside and speak with their legislators, whether they're pro-life or they disagree with us on this issue. It's important to let your pro-life legislators know that you support them in their pro-life stance. And if they're not pro-life, to respectfully disagree and explain our position as to why we think that these centers are so awesome and why we think that this bill shouldn't go into law and it's not needed. So that is kind of what's going on in the pro-life world right now.
Okay. So I'm rolling your website there across the bottom of the screen, Molly. This rally is a week from this coming Wednesday, correct?
Correct.
And that would be the 26th
That's right.
at high noon at the Lincoln statue on the east side of the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so SB 1909 has made it through the Senate. It's awaiting a committee hearing.
Yes.
In the House.
Yes. Right now it's in House Rules Committee, and it's awaiting its assignment to a more specific committee.
Yeah. So Dan, there's no way to do witness slips yet, right? Until it's
Right.
a substitute committee.
Yeah, that's, the game they play, and they'll hold it in the Rules Committee and then spring it out on you and call for the next day to have a committee hearing, and you won't have time to file the witness slips, let alone get your people to Springfield to testify. The people that want to come and testify. And full disclosure here, Joe and I are big supporters of the New Life Pregnancy Center here in Decatur,
Mm-hmm.
and they do a phenomenal job.
Mm-hmm.
They provide true health care,
Mm-hmm.
physical and mental health care to women in crisis, or just need, they need someplace to go to talk and try to figure out where they're headed in their pregnancy. Every time I hear our pro-abortion members talk about women's health care, Molly, you're talking about this bill and what it does. The bills that we've passed, these pro-abortion bills that we've passed, that we're funding abortions from out of state, from all over the Midwest and further. The taxpayers are carrying the burden.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about healthcare, and they talk about women's healthcare. If it was truly about women's healthcare, they would have a physician. We just passed a bill that said that just about anybody that wants to can perform an abortion about anywhere they want.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about our pregnancy centers and what they have to say and what they have to do, and what the penalties are. Molly, I'm sure you know the answer to this question. What can a woman do who has a medical consequence from an abortion at a Planned Parenthood clinic? What are her legal resources if she's been maltreated or mistreated?
Well, I'm sure
None. Zero, Molly. None.
Right.
None. there are no consequences.
Yeah.
Period. And yet we want to attack another organizations, these other organizations that are providing voluntary. No one is forced to go to any of these clinics, be it Planned Parenthood or the pregnancy centers. They're not forced. They go there on their own free will.
Mhm.
And if they don't like the treatment, they're free to leave. Services at New Life are free. I'm sure they're free at a lot of these other providers. And now we want to pass some law that puts some legal constraints and gives some wacko attorney general, left-wing person, the ability on his own just to decide, we don't like what you said, or we don't think you said the right things, or we want your records. We want to see who's going to your clinic. HIPAA, come on. I mean, I'm just stunned.
Yeah.
I'm stunned that this actually got out of the Senate, first of all. We usually think the Senate is a little more sane than the House. But here we go. And, this is an egregious assault on women's health.
Right.
And as you can tell, I really don't care.
You're doing a great job, Dan. And
it's incensed.
Yeah.
I'm incensed that this bill would even make it out of a committee, House or Senate.
Right.
It is absolutely without precedent.
Right.
And it's an assault on women, and it's assault on women's health, and these ladies stand up in the House floor and talk about women's health and women's health care, and then they propose and support this kind of garbage legislation.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so a couple things, Dan. The Democrat supermajority is passing these bills. You said we pass these out. This is party line vote, right? And the Democrat supermajority is passing these bills. And Molly and you and Ralph are doing the great work there. You're in the Capitol all the time, talking to legislators, our cohorts. We hear, Dan, I'm sure you hear this from constituents, how much further can the radical Marxists go on some of this abortion stuff? And they just keep finding new stuff. It's like, where did they come up with this stuff? Molly, I don't know how you deal with all that. It's just crazy.
We hear this all the time. Well, they do this in 3 other states or 7 other states. I mean, is this bill been passed in any other state? This type of intrusive, restrictive treatment of women's health?
Actually, unfortunately, the governor of Colorado just recently signed a similar bill to this one we're talking about right now. Other than that, I'm not sure. I do know that California did pass and sign into law a bill very similar to this. It was struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. So that is very encouraging for our purposes.
Yeah, but here we go. I mean, so now we're going to have to fight this out in the court system. It's already been decided.
Right.
And yet you have every member of the General Assembly, House and Senate, every elected officer raises their right hand and swears an oath to the Constitution, the United States Constitution and the state Constitution, and knowing that this stuff has been overturned in the U.S. Supreme Court, they still want to pass it in Illinois.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and then now what do we have to do? We have to fundraise. We have to go get lawyers. We have to sue ourselves. We have to sue ourselves.
Do battle in court
to stop this stuff, because we pay taxes that fund the Attorney General's office and their 350 lawyers, the largest law firm in the state of Illinois. And we have to raise our own money to fight ourselves. I mean, there ought to be some repercussions for this. And, we're seeing it on the Second Amendment. They know full well what they're doing. on passing these anti-Second Amendment bills, and now this bill. So, I don't know. There ought to be consequences. Unfortunately, I'll say it again, that things haven't gotten bad enough in Illinois that people will stand up and fight these devils.
Yeah. Well, Molly, we're scrolling your website across the bottom. That's where you can go to find stuff. Dan, it doesn't matter. All these blue states, DC, they don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about the law. They're going to pass whatever they want to pass. And then we end up doing battle in the courts that cost us more time and money. It's just insane.
It is. It
Molly,
really
any
is.
closing comments, Molly? And we're going to let you go.
Well, I just really hope that we see a lot of you there at the rally next. Again, it's April 26th at noon at the Lincoln statue. So thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, Molly. And stay tuned into our social media sites, guys. This is what we talk about. That way, when this bill pops up, hopefully we can get the alerts out and kind of give you the advice of where to go, what to do, if there's witness slips to file or time to get to Springfield to testify. Molly, thanks. Hopefully it's going to be a successful week on Wednesday for you, or the big day. Hopefully we pack out the Capitol like we did a couple years ago. And so that'd be great. All right, Molly, thanks. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Hey, Dan.
Somebody just sent you a message on
Okay, I'll look it up.
Freedom Caucus.
Okay. All right.
I'm afraid to touch.
Okay. I'll look it up. Hey, Dan, our next guest, I'm going to bring on Carol Davis with the Illinois Conservative Union. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Brad.
Hi. Good evening. Thanks for being with us, Carol.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Lots to talk about.
Lots to talk about. Yeah. And these are the issues that Molly had and the issue that you're going to talk about. You've got a bill that's working its way through the General Assembly, right? Ranked choice voting.
Yes, we do.
And then you also have an event coming up in May. And so with that, I've got a couple, I guess, whenever you want me to, I can pull up the graphic to talk about ranked choice voting. Carol, so the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll have this available on our website for download, what Brad's going to show here. And quickly, I'm going to let you know what ranked choice voting is all about. Some of you may have heard about it. Some of you may have not. And it's come by a couple of different names. So just be on the lookout for, the left is just, they never get tired of trying to subvert our entire government. So we've got to be on our toes. And what is ranked choice voting? Well, it's known under various names: instant runoff voting, the alternative vote, ranked choice voting. And thankfully, at their most recent national meeting, the RNC even is clued in on this. So they issued a strong resolution against it, opposing it, because unfortunately, people on both sides of the aisle are being taken in by this. So first you need to know is ranked choice voting is confusing. Ranking candidates, that's what you're asked to do. So it's more difficult for voters because compared to a traditional election, when you just go in and you choose one person, your favorite person in any of the races on the ballot, most voters don't have time to carefully research every single candidate on the ballot. And that's what you're asked to do. Even those ballots that you can't, those candidates that you can't stand, you're supposed to give them a ranking. And so it becomes laborious to vote. And we all know people are pressed for time. When they go to vote, they want to get in, vote, and get out. And unfortunately, ranked choice voting doesn't lend itself to that. It leads to something called ballot exhaustion. And it leads to a substantial number of votes being discarded, which is shocking. It's basically, you might as well have not even gone to vote if your vote's thrown away. So it really, the result can be that the winner receives less votes than a majority of the total votes cast. So ranked choice voting, it does not ensure that the winning candidate will have received an actual majority of the votes. So they only receive a majority of all valid votes in the final round of tallying. So you can tell already it's very confusing. It's likely that that your ballot might become what they call exhausted and thrown out. So ranked choice voting actually disenfranchises voters. The left will argue, oh, this is great for everyone. Well, it actually does not. They claim it increases voter turnout. Absolutely not. It does no such thing. They actually have done studies to show that it's lowered voter turnout. Voters know that they have to spend more time preparing, researching all the candidates. So that's defeating. They get confused and exhausted and frustrated. You go into the voting booth, and what if you make a mistake? You've numbered or ranked all these voters. And Brad, if you want to flip to that second page, you can actually see samples of what these ballots look like. On the top is a standard ballot, and on the next one is ranked choice voting ballot. And it's just a complicated process. So what if you make a mistake? Okay, you got to take that ballot back, have it spoiled, get another one. If you think the lines at the polling places are long now, implement ranked choice voting and see what happens. It could be a real nightmare. More spoiled ballots, more do-overs, more delays. And of course, this leads to more expense. Ranked choice voting is more expensive than traditional voting because due to the multiple rounds and adjustments and retabulations, it requires very precise data entry and well-programmed computer systems. And when more than just a few ballots must be counted, the entire ranked choice voting process is entirely dependent upon computers, which of course reduces transparency so that poll watchers and poll workers aren't as involved in the process. It's more machine related. So as you can see, they're trying to separate us more and more and more from that eyes on every ballot accountability that we promote at Illinois Conservative Union and across the country. Good people want that. Most election jurisdictions don't have the proper equipment. So it's going to involve more tax money to purchase new equipment. It's really, it's like the rabbit trail that you start going down and there's just no good end to it. Handling the ballots multiple times, it makes it almost impossible to have a trusted ballot chain of custody. And of course, chain of custody is a critical element in any election. And of course, it makes it harder and takes longer. It delays election results. Delayed election results make it harder to ensure that election transparency and accountability is in our elections. The multiple rounds of tabulation can't even begin until every ballot is in. So there's a delay there. And the nation may have witnessed this. Alaska, among a few places in the country, have ranked choice voting, and they are deeply regretting it because in the November 2022 election, Alaska was the last state to get their results reported. So what can we do? Well, right now we've got, legislation that's going to be coming up for a hearing, a subject matter hearing this Wednesday, the 19th at 2 p.m. And so we have an opportunity on this to file witness slips. And the bill number is SB 1456, SB 1456. And we are asking everyone to jump online, get those witness slips filled out to oppose this bill. I think we've had 3 ranked choice voting bills brought up in this session. And thankfully, we've got a statewide coalition that's been working together, started by Andy Backer at Illinois Opportunity Project. Illinois Conservative Union is a part of that. Several major organizations, AMAC AMAC Action. They're a great group. And I tell you, those people are on it. So when you give a call to action, they are busy filing the witness slips and making their voices heard. So we need everyone to take action before Wednesday at 2 p.m. I think you can file those witness slips right up until a few minutes before the hearing starts. And we just want everybody to jump on it.
So this is a subject matter hearing, so they can continue to file witness slips all the way up until it actually gets a committee hearing.
Oh, great.
Because,
Thank you.
because the subject matter hearing, no votes are taken.
Great.
So that bill will stay in committee until they schedule a vote, a committee hearing. So people can continue to file witness slips all the way up until the bill is heard, the day the bill is actually heard in committee. This is a subject matter hearing, which is a public hearing for information, to gather information.
And
So
I encourage people to watch if they can, because
absolutely,
we need to be the ones that are educating not only our friends, our family, our neighbors, but you know what? We need to educate our legislators, because, you guys are busy. You can't keep up with everything. It's like drinking out of a fire hose. And, some people think, hey, this might be a good thing. Well, we need to help them understand that it's just one more way to remove the one voter, one vote system that we so cherish in this country.
So I'm sorry, go ahead, Dan.
No, go, Brad.
So Carol, if I've got this right, so let's say there's a governor candidate, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green Party, there may be 4 or 5 candidates. And instead of just marking one spot for your choice of those 3 or 4 or 5 different candidates, in a ranked choice voting system, you would go through and kind of assess them a number that you would say, this is my first or second, third, fourth, fifth pick. Do I have that right?
Yep, you have that exactly right. So you end up making a mark on your ballot for people you can't stand.
No, but do you have to? This is a question. So there's 3 people, or even if there's just 2 people on the ballot, do you have to vote for both of them? You have to give a 1 and a 2?
Well,
vote
no
for the
one's
one
going to
person?
come and arrest you if you don't. But the
No, but-
problem is that your ballot's going to get thrown out if you don't.
How can they throw my ballot out if I only voted for the one person that I want?
Well, then if that one person isn't in their, round of voting, then it's not going to be included when, it gets very, very complicated. That's why we encourage people to download this handout that we've got, because it's got graphics on it that actually show you the process. And seriously, people who are not the majority of the votes end up winning these races. It's just a mess. It's an absolute mess. And there's no accountability.
I guess I don't understand. So there's 2 people on the ballot, and I only want to vote for one of them. So I only vote for one. I vote for Brad. I don't vote for Mike. And I put my ballot in. I only voted for one. I gave Brad my vote as number 1. I put him down number 1. And I didn't give Mike a 2 or a 5 or a 0. I just didn't fill anything out by Mike's name. Is that okay?
Well, yeah, I mean, if there's only 2 candidates, then there won't be multiple rounds. But you've got to remember there's multiple races on those ballots too. And this is where it gets so messy. I highly recommend, in fact, I will send links to some videos that the people in Alaska have done that walk through how the process worked for them, or didn't work well for them. And the videos make it a little bit more clear to understand. It's where, you have one ballot with multiple offices on it. So say you've got one office that only has 2 candidates. You select your candidate. The rest of those, say you've got a school board on that same ballot, you are having to rank 6 different people. If you don't rank them, there's a chance that the rest of your ballot is not even going to be in one of the final rounds of tabulating.
So it really gets murky the more candidates there are for different offices, right? I mean, if it's only a couple of candidates, not as murky or cumbersome there. But when you get into, and what'll happen, right, is they will dilute the ballot with lots of names, right? There'll be 4 or 5 names. And so maybe the clear-cut winner, or maybe the obvious candidate, or somebody that looks like the best choice, may not stand a chance just because of this whole, the way I understand it, the computation or the tabulation of these rankings throughout the whole ballot. That just seems bizarre to me. And I know, Dan, this seems very, I mean, to get our heads around this.
It's a
That makes
nightmare.
sense.
It does not make any sense. And the people who there's big left-wing money behind pushing this all over the country. We've been fighting it all over the nation. And you know how it is. They just pick talking points that make it, oh, this is great.
Right.
You know, it's going to open it up to more parties. You know, now you're going to have, you know, the Green Party and the Constitution Party and, you know, all these different parties. So that's when it starts really diluting the votes, is when you've got, you know, that kind of numbers, those kinds of numbers of candidates.
Right.
Well, they still can, but we still, the Green Party and, I mean, these other groups can get on the ballot. They can get on the ballot today. They can pass petitions and get on the ballot.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
there's nothing that prevents them from getting on the ballot. And in fact, during this COVID emergency, we made it easier for third-party candidates to get on the ballot, just to try to help make it simpler so they didn't have to get, I mean, I think they had to get fewer signatures than I had to get.
Right.
I mean, it makes no sense.
Right.
So who, and I've also heard talk that this is unconstitutional, particularly I think in Illinois in our Constitution, where it's, you know, where things are set up. Do you have attorneys that are advising you on the constitutionality of these bills?
Well, not as much as we would like in Illinois, because we're, you know, not a battleground state. So of course, the big national groups are focusing more on fighting ranked choice voting in some of these other more critical states. That's why we, the people here in Illinois, you know, we have to really stand up. Now, there were tens of thousands of emails sent with the last couple of ranked choice voting bills that they tried to float this legislative session. So, you know, I can send you the bill numbers so you can see what those kind of numbers are. And that's where the strength of this coalition comes in, because it's really an education process. You know, they know how to use the right language on the left to fool people into thinking this is a great thing. And again, it's nothing but a nightmare, leads to frustration, leads to more cost, leads to people not voting. It cuts down on the number of people who are going to vote.
Okay. Yeah. So it looks like Dan had to step away for a second. We're rolling your website across the screen there, and they can find out all about this, right? And you've probably got links to some different videos and different explanations there.
Absolutely.
And so again, the subject matter hearing is Wednesday at 2:00.
Right.
What committee is it? Elections and Ethics? Is that the committee it's
yes.
in, or Elections and Ethics?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You can go to ilga.gov, and there's Dan. We'll bring him back on screen.
Sorry, I'd step away there.
That's
And
okay.
I know for sure Andy Becker from our coalition from Illinois Opportunity Project, he's going to be testifying in person.
Okay.
So, and I think a few others. We're working with some national groups, Election Transparency Initiative and a few others. So, yeah, please, again, the bill number is SB 1456.
Okay.
Sorry about my shuffling papers here, but I got to have my notes.
That's
And just jump on it, folks, and get your friends and neighbors engaged.
right.
I've been seeing posts on social media with the links to file witness slips.
Right.
So it's really important.
Right.
So, and along those lines, we've got our summit coming up. If you want, I can talk about
Yeah,
that.
we got the graphic up on that one. So,
Thank you. Yeah.
and there's a QR code there. I guess they can scan that and find out more information. So tell us about May 20th, your big election integrity summit.
Yes, and this is exciting because it is going to be in Illinois in Orland Park, but it's for the entire Midwest. And we are very fortunate because we've gotten connected with a huge national network. And it's Cleta Mitchell, who was Trump's lead attorney in Georgia after 2020. And right after 2020, we started strategizing about what can we do to get these things back on track. And so the Election Integrity Network was formed. And as part of that, last year I ran all over the country helping CLETA hold summits, election integrity summits. And several organizations were involved in doing those. And we're having our own now. So we're fortunate. Our keynote speaker is the wonderful Ken Cuccinelli. He is the national chairman for the Election Transparency Initiative. They are doing great work all over the country fighting ranked choice voting. So he'll probably be talking about that quite a bit. And we're going to have wonderful speakers and trainers. And this isn't just talk. What it is, it's an overall program for election integrity. And the key is to form election integrity teams, task force committees in every single county. Because when an election goes off the rails, folks, it goes off at the county level because that's where our elections are administered. Mm-hmm. So you think about it, when you hear about problems, it's Maricopa County, Broward County, Fulton County, so Cook County. So if an election's going to go haywire, that's where it's going to go haywire. And that's why you need those local task forces. So at the summit in the morning, you'll get the overview of what a program is, how to look at your vulnerable voters in senior care facilities, group homes, rehabs, how to work with legislators, how to clean the voter rolls. That's a huge issue, making sure that our voter rolls are accurate. And so all of these components will be an overview in the morning, and then in the afternoon, deep dive breakout sessions. So say in the morning you hear, oh, vulnerable voters. Yes, this sounds like something I could really help with. I really want to help seniors not to have their votes stolen. So in the afternoon, you can go to the breakout for vulnerable voters, and you will get step-by-step action plans for implementing a vulnerable voter program in your county. And we're going to have Lynn Taylor. You've probably heard of the Virginia Coalition and the Virginia model. They had great success in November 2021, taking Virginia from what had once been a red state became a blue state. Well, they're dragging it back to the red side, and they're making it more conservative with every election. And that's because of the Virginia Coalition. And Lynn Taylor is the chair of that and was instrumental in the formation of the Virginia model and the Virginia Coalition. Ned Jones from the Election Integrity Network, CLETA's organization, is going to teach everyone about what kind of third-party organizations are infiltrating your local election office and what you can do about it. Willard Helander is the former clerk of Lake County right here in Illinois, and she leads our voter list maintenance working group here in Illinois. They are doing phenomenal work, and you're going to be able to hear and learn from her about what that team is doing. And then I will be doing a deep dive on how you actually set up these election integrity teams in your county to ensure accountability. And it's some simple things like having an election judge coordinator to make sure in your county that your people who you've put forth to be election judges are actually being called in for training and assigned somewhere to work. So it's little things like that that are going to make a big difference. So we hope everyone can check it out. Again, go to the website. You'll find out information about how to get engaged. Saturday, May 20th, 2023. Breakfast and networking starts at 7:30 and goes to 9. The program starts at 9. And it will be a great opportunity to learn successful strategies from across the nation that are working, and how to connect with people in your local area.
Wow. You got a big day planned. You got some great speakers. Sign up early, scan the QR code and get your place reserved. Carol, I hope you max it out. I hope you, and it should be, we should have these kind of things going on everywhere across the state of Illinois this entire summer. Dan, I guess I want to speak a little bit about this ranked choice voting, subject matter hearing only. I'm guessing that they will probably put that and many other election laws together or language into one big omnibus bill and try to pass that, because there's the primary date will probably be different than it was last year. And so that and many other pieces of election law will probably be changed. And so that's probably, we're going to hear it in the next few weeks, right? So
we're hearing rumblings about an election omnibus.
Yeah.
So we need to be on alert.
Right, exactly. All right. Carol, any closing comments before we let you go? We thank you for taking time to be with us this evening. I know there's a lot to cover there.
Hey, well, thank you so much for giving me time. And we just thank you for what the Freedom Caucus is doing. We were early supporters of the United States Congress Freedom Caucus, Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows. And so we are just thrilled, and we are here to support you in every way we can.
Thank you.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much.
Carol, with that, we're going to let you go, and then Dan and I will close it up, and we'll talk to you real soon. Thanks,
Thank
Carol, for
you.
joining us tonight. Yep. Good night.
See you in Springfield.
Dan, closing comments, and then we're going to wrap up here.
Wow. Big night. Thanks, Brad, for putting this together. I hope everybody's enjoyed watching this. A lot of information, good information.
Right. Well,
And
like always, we like you to like and follow and share and subscribe to our content, and let us know how we can be helpful. If you want to come to Springfield, Dan, they can call our district offices, email us, find us all over the web at our respective websites and social media sites. What else, Dan?
that's it. Freedom Caucus needs your help. Go to the website, check us out, and if you like what you see, there's a little donate button there. Help us pull these kinds of events off.
Right.
Always, we appreciate all your support. Folks can join us. There's membership cards. They can donate and become big supporters.
Yeah, people are always asking, Dan, how can we get involved? So we've got multiple membership levels that people can engage with, and we have a weekly or every week and a half e-news that goes out and with information, and they can get involved there. And we're continuing to grow the ways that people can get involved. So we just probably the best way is to subscribe to that e-news. Go to the IllinoisFreedomCaucus.org and sign up.
It's great. See you tomorrow.
Thanks, Dan. I'm going to roll the outro video and talk to you real soon. Thanks, folks, for joining us.